we're going to switch topics here. Dummy thick. I forgot I made that image. So, what was it, earlier this week? We had Sony State of Play. And for the most part, a lot of people said it was boring. It was uninteresting. And I saw a little bit of backlash online. I saw some people complaining about the complainers. And the funny thing is, I didn't see anybody throwing a fit about it being boring. I think a lot of people were just like, oh, it was just kind of boring. You know, it did what it was supposed to do, and that was it. It wasn't really interesting. And we talked about it here. We watched it on stream, and we talked about how we felt about it. So if you were here, you know that I thought it was very uninteresting. I thought it didn't do a good job of hyping everybody up, and you know, it got news out, but it didn't do anything more than that. So the question was presented of what makes for a good games showcase, which is what I consider these. These are games showcases. They're information dumps, and they are supposed to be interesting. Now, some people will argue with that right off the top. Some people are going to argue with the idea that it's supposed to hype you up. A lot of people will say that it's supposed to give you information, and it gave you information. There was a post that I saw where the guy was complaining about how it had some cool games in it, and it showed you a lot of a very anticipated game, and they don't understand why everybody was so upset. And I didn't comment on it because when you see posts like that, you understand what's going on, and what's usually going on is that they are locked in their position. They don't want to hear anybody else's position. All they want is for people to reply and agree with them. So I wasn't going to bother getting into why I disagreed with him, but I did. And if these presentations are just supposed to be info dumps, if they're just supposed to get some videos out there, get some release dates out there, and that's it, and give you an idea of what's coming for the next 6 months to a year. If that's all they were supposed to do, you don't need a presentation to do that. You have Sony PlayStation has a YouTube channel. They've got a Twitter page. They've got a Twitter feed. They've got Facebook. They've got Instagram. They've got everything they're supposed to have. If all you want to do is put information out there, you can just put information out there. Nintendo did it a couple months ago. They didn't do a direct. But I remember that day, it was a few months ago, there was a day when all of a sudden a bunch of trailers just suddenly appeared on Nintendo's YouTube channel, and they didn't really announce anything. It was like 5 or 6 trailers for games that we hadn't seen yet. And they or some of them that we had seen and there were release dates for them. It was like they just sort of appeared. We still talked about it. We got the information. There was no hype about them. It just sort of happened. So what's the difference? The difference is when you do a presentation, the very act of a presentation, the very idea that at a certain time of day, a few days from now, you're going to want to be sitting at your computer because you're going to find out a whole bunch of stuff. That in and of itself is a hype builder. And these things have become events to the point where you expect something. You don't expect a giant multi-million-dollar presentation. We don't expect you to be on stage with a guy playing a Japanese flute and another guy playing a banjo every 3 months when you tell us about some of the newest games coming out. We don't expect that. But if you're going to go through the trouble of having an event, which is what these are, it's got to be interesting. It's got to be something that we want to sit down and wait for. And then at the end of it, we want to be glad that we sat down and waited for it. Because if it's just a bunch of news, just put it on your YouTube channel. And we'll talk about whatever we feel like we need to talk about. So that's the problem. So let me see here. That's the key. Presentation. Otherwise, you just drop trailers. Directs work because of their presentation style. You need to make the presentation exciting, not just dump news out of the blue. The Ring Fit, Ring Fit just got a trailer. Well, Ring Fit, I thought they had said at some other point. Labo got a trailer. Ring Fit got a pre-trailer for his real one. Ring was something Nintendo announced outside of the Direct. Food, water, atmosphere. But that's the thing. It didn't get an event to that trailer. It was just trailers. So hey, Lilac. So then why is it boring? Why is it boring? Because you're not getting anything interesting. We're spoiled by Nintendo Directs because of how they're laid out. On the other hand, you can beat those expectations. On the other hand, you can beat those expectations easily. Press play. The reason that Nintendo presentations work is because they have a nice structure. And I don't mean the bright aesthetic with the white background and somebody talking to you in front of it and the cheerful music. I don't mean any of that. All of that stuff on the presentation level, the Sony stuff was relatively okay. The problem is you have to have something interesting to show everybody. That's the easiest way to sell. Put Reggie in States of Play. Is it State of Plays or States of Play? Probably State of Plays. I thought this would happen since their business competitors Sony needs to turn to Nintendo for pointers. Well, Aqua, they don't need to turn to Nintendo like as in have a meeting with them. They just need to watch Nintendo Directs and go on and watch videos of people reacting to Directs and figure out what it is that they're doing right. And what Nintendo does right is very simple. They try and open up with something big, they try and close with something big, and they try and have some decent stuff in the middle. Nintendo Directs often sag in the middle. If they have a third bigger announcement, they'll put that in the middle, and that will sort of raise the whole thing up. It's very simple. It's very easy to do. We have come from multiple Directs saying, oh my God, the thing at the beginning was really good, and the thing at the end was really good, and barely talk about the stuff in the middle. But because the first memory that we have of the Direct and the last memory that we have of it are both interesting and exciting, it feels like a success. It feels like we have something to talk about. The last State of Play, this last one that happened the other day, started with that game Humanity, which seemed kind of interesting. The problem was they didn't really talk too much about it. So we went away from that first presentation thinking, we didn't get any real clarification for it. The final thing that we got was The Last of Us 2, which I think they said that there was a release date for it. I don't remember if they announced a release date for it then. But we've already seen that game. We've already seen it a couple of times. We've already heard news for it. Halfway through the trailer, when we watched it live, someone in the chat was saying, oh, well, that girl's going to die. And she died. And it was so predictable. We've already gotten that. The Last of Us 2 was purely for the release date. That's not really enough. If you would have opened with that and then closed with something bigger, that would have been more interesting. But apparently there's rumors of a new Batman game. A lot of people were expecting the new Batman stuff, whatever new Batman game there is. A lot of people were expecting that. If you would have opened with The Last of Us 2, we would have said, oh, it's The Last of Us 2. And then they would have dropped the release date. And we would have said, oh, okay, cool. There's the release date for it. And then we would have gotten some of the other stuff. After Party is a fantastic looking indie game, though. And then at the end of it, you said, oh, new Batman game. And you showed the new Batman game. That would have been better. I still don't feel like they were blow everybody away announcements. But a lot of people would have said, oh, okay, it opened with the release date for Last of Us 2, and it closed out with a new Batman game. And people probably would have talked about the Batman game even more. But Instead, it opened up with this weird game that we never really got a full explanation on, and it ended with the release date for Last of Us 2, but by then we were already bored from the rest of the direct. We didn't care. Yeah, rumors for Batman, Ape Escape. Ape Escape. If you would have press play, there you go. You want to fix the last state of play? Here's what you do. You open up with a new Batman trailer. With showing that there's a new Batman game coming out. In the middle of it, you do The Last of Us 2, and you announce an actual release date. So when everybody's bored and they say, The Last of Us 2, we've seen this already, you say the release date, and they say, okay, well, that's cool that there's a release date for it. And at the end, you top it off with Ape Escape. Everything else would have been sort of mediocre. But it would have been remembered for that last scene. It would have been remembered for, oh my God, Ape Escape is coming back. Oh my God, there's a new Batman game. I forgot. I was so enthralled by Ape Escape that I forgot that there's a new Batman game coming out. You have to create hype. That's what these events are for. They're to hype you up. And the most important thing about hype is that you're going to be hyped for the next one. You're going to remember, oh man, remember the last one when we got the news about Ape Escape? I can't wait to see what they say for the next one. It's not domino effect. It's all connected. You know what I'm trying to say, right? That it's the last one. The presentation will bolster the next one. And that's what you have to keep doing. You have to keep that momentum going with those things. But when they're snooze fests, nobody cares. When they're just information, nobody cares, because you don't need all of this for information. You have, and we've talked about the E3. One of my biggest gripes with E3 is that we don't need it anymore. They turn it into, hey, Sagers, they turn E3 into these big giant events where they've got multiple events, and they've got tents where I think it was Sony last year where that was when they had like the guy playing the Japanese flute, and they had the guy playing the banjo, and they had all of this. It was this big giant event, and it's fun, it's a spectacle, but as far as just getting information out, we don't need it. We don't need that for information. But that's why people do like E3 in some way, because they do like the spectacle of it all. But everybody can tell you that spectacle gets people talking. We're still talking. We're still waiting for Ghost of Tsushima. After that amazing trailer that we saw, haven't really heard much about it. Now it's expected that it might actually be a cross-gen game, or it might just be a PS5 game. Start strong, end strong. Nintendo does that a lot. And then when the next direct happens, you remember that they did that, and you are excited again. I had a handful of games I saw that looked neat, and immediately forgot the name because they just didn't have the proper impact. They didn't have a chance to get the impact. They weren't given the attention that they were supposed to get. That entire state of play felt like a sizzle reel. It felt like a 20-minute sizzle reel where they were blasting through things and you don't get a lot of information. I like what Nintendo does now, where they've got these indie directs, and then they've got the AAA games, the larger studio games. I like that they do that because it gives the indie games a chance to thrive. Because After Party, which was shown on the state of play, looked awesome, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it. And it probably just looked awesome to me, but I feel like that's something that somebody might have mentioned, but it was an indie game. It got buried around the other stuff. It didn't really get a chance. Sage meowing for 2 seconds was more entertainment than the state of play. Create form with function. Give us the news, but also make it an unforgettable experience. Make me care. Make me care about the news that I heard. Make me want to watch the next time you say news. E3 2008 did that perfectly. I think John said it best, but it felt like a lineup of Twitter trailers more than a presentation. Yeah. And Lilac, and that would have worked if it was actually on Twitter. If we turned on our Twitter feed and said, whoa, Sony posted a whole bunch of videos. We probably would have sat there and watched most of those videos. But we sat here, we watched this 20-minute presentation, and in the end, we didn't care. I don't know, it just felt more like a series of updates for a few forgettable indie titles thrown in as well. That looked like, it's what it looked like to me anyway. I just want Final Fantasy VII Remake and maybe Borderlands. Final Fantasy VII, I just saw it was like a 15-minute video about updates for the game. Updating what is happening in the game. They showed the materia system off. They showed some of the combat off. They showed Dio's pet Apps. Remember Apps, the monster that you fought in? It was Don Corneo. Corneo's pet in... I think it was Don Corneo's pet. In Final Fantasy VII, they showed that boss fight. It looks awesome. Every time I see something about Final Fantasy VII, I want this game even more. I'm so ready for it. And I still am concerned. I'm still a bit concerned about how long the game is going to be. Because it's only supposed to be the Midgar stuff. And then I don't know. This could be 3 games. You know what I mean? Like, this could be a whole 3 games of experience. You saw that with the Ifrit summon. Yeah. I'd argue we don't need more Final Fantasy. Yeah, press play. That's my biggest concern is don't give me too... This is what's happening with Pokemon Sword and Shield. I feel like we're getting way too much information on Pokemon Sword and Shield. I would not at all be surprised if we get another info dump for... Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's even wrong, because we are getting another info dump for Pokemon Sword and Shield, because at this point, today's September 27th, they just made an announcement that like October 4th is they're doing something where it's supposed to be like they're setting up a camera in the wild of Pokemon Sword and Shield of the region, of the Galar region, and they're like, oh, who are you gonna see? Like what Pokemon are we possibly gonna see? And so they're going to give us more information. We're going to see more Pokemon. Take my money. What? Who was that? Was that AGM? I gotta open up my Streamlabs. I don't like that I can't read the full announcement, the full message that you post. Whenever there's a donation, I don't like that. All right, so let me hold on. I'm gonna open this up because I want to read this. What? Donation history. Here we go. Another thing about Sony, they overuse their stuff with way more than any other company. Spider-Man, God of War, now Last of Us. You can say that about Breath of the Wild, Odyssey. They didn't make 4 conferences with just those yet. Yeah, that's always a notorious Sony thing. Wait. You donated money, so whenever anybody donates money, I'm going to play my new clip.
Nobody's got a dollar. Let us see the dollar.
Yes, by the way, yes, it's not the full game, Mendez. It's supposed to be episodic. It is a little strange that the box art that they posted does not say episode 1. Works for me as a $1 person. Hey, I look at it this way. If everybody here donates $1, we get a new camera. Take your hat off, boy. That's a $1 bill. That's from the A Million Ways to Die in the West. It's a very hilarious movie. I just want to at least see the evolutions of the starters. I don't even want to see the evolutions of the starters. I feel like we've already seen too much for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I feel like we have already gotten to the point where we know too much about the game. I want to see. I just want to see everybody's reaction when they play the game. That's what I want to see. I know they could have talked about some of the stuff coming platform that was talked about at Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show. Not everyone watches those, so that would have been the perfect time for Sony to at least talk about those. Yeah, I didn't even follow Tokyo Game Show. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, "Is there anything interesting that was really announced?" And they mentioned a couple of things. And there was nothing very interesting out of the Tokyo Game Show. And Inside Xbox was also on Tuesday. Never heard anybody say anything about it. That new camera fun. It's one of McFarlane's best works. Yeah, I just back to the state of play. What does it take to have a successful games showcase? It's not even as much about showing off good games. You know, obviously you want to show off good games, but what often happens with these things is that you make bad games look good. That's the whole point of one of the points of the presentation is to make all of these things seem interesting. Because there's a game called Rad, which I think looks kind of boring, but there's a lot of people who think that it looks really cool, and that's sort of the function. I heard about Inside Xbox was that there was an Inside Xbox. Yeah, like exactly. The only thing I know about it was that it happened. Like that's it. And that's another, and that's actually, you know what? That's a good, there's also a good thing in there for what you do to make a successful games showcase. You don't make it 2 hours long. Inside Xbox, I heard was supposed to be 2 hours long. I don't have that kind of time to commit. I can just watch trailers later on. If you're going to make it 2 hours, it's not going to work. 20 minutes, half an hour, that's good. If you're going to do something like a half an hour, I wouldn't mind if you take 5 minutes and do an in-depth look into a newer game that's coming out. I don't mind when they do that. There was one presentation that Nintendo did, and they took like a 7-minute dive into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It was very boring to me. It was very uninteresting to me. But I appreciated that they took one game and did a deep dive into it for the people that were really hyped for that game, because it was a big game. I just wasn't into it myself. If they did a 30-minute presentation and then did a 7-minute deep dive into Animal Crossing, I would pay attention, because that's how I am. Because it's Animal Crossing, and Animal Crossing is amazing. I just worry they reveal so many new Pokemon. And Aqua, that's why I think they need to stop showing us things. They need to stop showing things about Pokemon, because there's nothing to be interested in. You're not going to be amazed at the giant Pokemon. You're not going to catch Pokemon and say, "Whoa, what is that?" You're going to say, "Oh, I remember that from the trailer, from the 30th trailer." That's not interesting to me. I want to discover, and that used to be the point of Pokemon. It used to be that you would wander and you would look for the animal and you would discover what's happening. But they're giving you the whole story up front. They're showing you all of the Pokemon up front. That's not interesting to me anymore. I was excited about Xenoblade 2. I was even bored. Even I was bored at that. This is a Nintendo presentation, but please buy Banjo-Kazooie on Xbox. Was there a Psychonauts 2 reveal? I think there was. Wasn't there? I thought that was already done. I thought there was already a Psychonauts 2 reveal some time ago. Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2. First gameplay trailer. Yeah, that was announced a while ago. Yeah, that was announced some time ago. I don't think there's been any updates on it. Yeah, I don't think that there's been any updates on it. I think it's supposed to be next year. I think that's slated for 2020. It can be a simple make the showcase 30-40 minutes, open with the obvious, in this case Last of Us 2, move on to known works but stuff that hasn't really been shown, Call of Duty, Medieval demo, then talk about the indie games after a surprise announcement like Civilization, which was a very cool reveal. Work on a few upcoming stuff, close with a big announcement like the Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, it's not that complicated. It's really not, and that's sort of my problem. I don't think that should be complicated to I've got 2 Twitch windows open. It's not complicated to make one of these events interesting. The biggest issue is that they're not. They want to do things differently, and it's possible to follow a similar formula, but do things in your own way, put your own spin on it. If you want to do things completely differently to have your own identity, that's fine, but you need to find something that works, because if it doesn't work, it's just going to be a failure. Somebody mentioned Ikumi Nakamura. I said bring in Ikumi to host. AR, if at this point in time, if you brought Ikumi Nakamura in to put on a state of play, every single person would watch it. Everybody would watch that state of play because she is freaking delightful, and she can put a positive spin on everything. She can make it fun. She makes it interesting. When they're having fun, it's interesting. And that's all it takes. It really is not complicated. I don't think that it's that complicated. And that's my biggest problem is when the first state of play happened and it was mediocre, almost everybody said the same exact thing. It was their first state of play. They're not used to putting on these events. They're not used to having this stuff. They're not used to putting this together. We'll see where it goes. It's got to get more interesting, but we'll see. We'll give them time. We'll forgive it. This is what, the third one, fourth one, and it doesn't seem like they're learning. You've got to make these. They are events. When you post online that a state of play is happening and everybody starts talking about the fact that a state of play is happening and they start questioning what you're going to reveal, what you're going to talk about, that is an event. And it needs to be event caliber for people to care that it's happening and for people to care that the next one is happening. One thing that also helps Nintendo Direct is that the human interaction. It seems so. Yeah, Lilac, you're right. There is something different about having someone standing. Like I made the joke about the white background with the person standing in front of it talking to you. But there is something to be said about having a person doing the presentation, handing that presentation off to somebody else. It's a lot more personable that way. I am that way with streams. When it comes to streaming, I am far more interested in watching a stream that has a camera where I can see the person than just hearing their voice. It feels very disconnected to me when I don't see somebody talking to me, presenting something to me. You're right. It does feel a lot less personal when it's just a disembodied voice sharing news. Just get Sean Layden to tease Crash and Saint Trilogy. Oh, Mendez. Ikumi Nakamura is the Japanese lady from the E3 presentation. She was a very delightful, very animated woman that came out on stage, and she had a very super duper positive energy. And like the first thing she said was that she's practicing her English, so she hopes that she gets it right. And she was great. Like she like did this thing, and she had so much personality, and people fell in love with her immediately. And I follow her on Twitter now, and she's fun. Like some of the stuff that she posts on Twitter, she is enjoyable. She is a delightful person to see, and like you want to be around her.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you, AGM.
Never seen a dollar. Nobody's got a dollar. Let us see the dollar.
And when she talks, you want to hear what she has to say, and that's good. That's a good thing. Oh wait, I have a
Turkey.
That's right. I have a button for her.
Turkey.
I forgot that I had that. No problem, AGM. You can spam dollars all you want. The message didn't pop up for that. Hold on a second. Let me refresh that page there. Thing about Microsoft one, they had an amazing show. I really need to figure this out. Hold on, let me see something here. Okay, there we go. The thing about the Microsoft one, they had an amazing show and they know how to host a showcase, but it's the opposite problem with Sony. They don't have any content. Both companies are trying to do directs without being exactly like Nintendo. Yeah, you know what? Here's what you do. Be like Nintendo. Just do it. It's easier. The turkey. She's like a real life anime character, and I love it. You can argue if it was cringy. You're absolutely right. I still like that Bowser meets Bowser skit that Nintendo did for E3. For their E3 Direct. And Lilac, I'm not sure what you're talking about. You can argue if it's cringy or not. You remember it. You don't want it to be too cringy. You don't. We like seeing Reggie say, "My body is ready." We don't want Reggie out there in his underwear. But you want to do something to remember it. You want to do something to talk about it, and the event just has to be interesting, and that's really it. You have to present the information. These states of play, these Nintendo Directs, these Inside Xboxes, they're information dumps, but the intention, the expectation is that they are interesting information dumps. Because if you're not caring about that, then what's the point of even doing them at all? That's not what you want, Greg. That state of play sucked. You might have half the internet would differ for sure. Yeah, probably. Don't be like Mr. Caffeine. His body is always ready. Reggie in his underwear. Oh, wait. Boom. But yeah, to wrap that up, these events, they should feel like events. You should care about what's happening while it's happening. You should want to see the next one. And that's what you need to do with these. The easiest formula is to bookend the event with relatively major announcements. The bigger, the better. Hopefully you have a decent announcement in the middle, and then you pepper stuff throughout it. And when you do that, people will remember. They'll want to see the next one, because slowly but surely people are losing interest, and you're going to get to the point, if you're not there already, where Sony's going to announce the next state of play, and a large portion of people are going to say, I'll just read about the information later. I don't really care to watch it because it's not interesting. And that's killer, in the bad way. But we are on to the viewer topics portion. If anybody has anything that they want to discuss, any stuff that has happened, it has been 2 weeks since, because we didn't stream last week. So if you have a question, something you would like to discuss, a question for me, or a topic that you saw that you want to discuss a little bit, feel free to fire them off. We got about 25 minutes here. I have a question. Thoughts on Mario Kart Tour and how bad Microsoft? Fox, I will always defend microtransactions in a free-to-play game, just because if you don't like them, don't buy them. You can still play the game. I'm assuming the microtransactions, the microtransactions that I've seen are cosmetic. They have no bearing on the functionality of the game. You're not paying $50 for extra game modes. You're not paying for characters that go faster. You are effectively doesn't the game have a no, like, if I remember right, it has a $5 subscription fee if you want to unlock certain things, but you can play the game for free. That is my understanding. Someone can tell me if that's wrong. Fortnite, we talked about Fortnite earlier. Fortnite, love it or hate it, Fortnite is a free. They hit 200cc behind a paywall. Not everybody is good at Mario Kart. I'm terrible at 200cc, so I would not buy the $5 subscription. I have no interest in it. And you don't need 200cc to race other people. So effectively, it is a free game that you can buy into if you want. And like I said with Fortnite, gotta have a chill stream with 14. Yeah. Later, Jones, have a good one. Thank you for stopping in. Like we talked about with Fortnite, You can love Fortnite or hate it as much as you want, but the reality is the full game is there for free. If you don't like the microtransactions, if you don't want to buy them, don't buy them. It really is just that simple. What I don't like is microtransactions in a game that I already had to buy for $60. What I don't like are microtransactions that give me characters that have a significant advantage over the other characters. If I could pay in Mario Kart Tour for a cart that is faster than all the other carts, I then have a problem with it. If you don't like it, don't buy them. Other than that, that's fine. So I'm bringing it. Feels body feels slightly worn. You see the report that the Switch Lite has the same joystick build as your standard. Lilac. There was a video of somebody that was showing off some drift that he was having on his Switch Lite. Apparently, that video was probably because there's nobody else coming forward with that. So the expectation is that that video was a defective unit that that the person is replacing. I did, however, see that the Joy-Con builds are exactly the same. I didn't find out if they are the same materials, because what I had heard was happening was that the plastic was sort of rubbing away, and that powder inside, that rubbed off plastic powder, is what was causing the drift. It was causing like the sensor to trigger. So I don't know if I know they're built the same, but I don't know if they're built from the same materials exactly. So I would like to see something about that. That being said, if I had $1 million and could buy whatever I want, I still would not have bought the Switch Lite, specifically because we don't know if those Joy-Con drift issues have been fixed. And after seeing that the structure of the Joy-Con of the joystick is built the same, I would definitely not get one. Hopefully there's a way to fix it if that does happen, but unfortunately the drifting Joy-Con have ruined the idea of a non-detachable controller for the Switch for me. We talked about how since there is a Switch Lite that is all portable, I would be totally happy with a Switch Pro or Switch Home, which is a home console that hooks up to your TV and is not portable, does not come with Joy-Con, but instead comes with a Switch Pro controller and does not have a screen attached to it. I would buy something like that because I know the controller works. I would not buy a Switch Lite just because it is too early to tell if they're going to have a problem or not. What even is the point of selling Switch Lite longer battery? Longer battery, it is slightly smaller. Some people do prefer the portability, and it is cheaper. I believe the Switch Lite is $170 or I think it's $200 actually. It's $200 as opposed to $300 for the Switch. So it is significantly cheaper. I do kind of wish they made it so that you could plug it to the TV, and then because apparently you can sync a Pro controller to the Switch Lite. That would have been cool. Like, okay, I can still plug it to the TV. It's more portable, but I could still plug it to the TV and use a Pro controller that I would have to then buy. You know, I think that would have been a fine addition to it. I just want a removable Joy-Con with a D-pad. Nintendo can't even do that. I should send my Joy-Cons into Nintendo soon. Pancho, I keep forgetting to send mine in. I have them somewhere. They're in a cabinet somewhere. I think it's downstairs. I'm not entirely sure. So could you just open the Joy-Con and clean it out to reduce? Mendez, yeah, you can spray. I know people were spraying it with the cans of compressed air, but the problem is it just does it again. It keeps doing it. If you're good at putting electronics together, sure. Yeah, you can get in there with a can of compressed air, but you do have to open it a little bit, but you're just going to have to do it again. You have to take the Switch. Yeah, and Neon, I shouldn't even have to. The fact that the analog sticks can be replaced is not even the point, because I shouldn't have to do that. I should never have to do that with my system. Like a company should never be able to tell me, well, you can open it and fix it yourself. No, you can fix it for me, or you could not have the problem in the first place. The Switch Lite is $100 cheaper. However, in terms of battery, the Lite is 1 hour longer than the original, but the new model Switch is 3 hours longer than that. Okay. Nintendo would refuse. Rooster, as long as they're still in Joy-Con looking shape, apparently they won't even ask questions. They'll just fix it or replace it. The issue comes from the graphite they use. Scratches and eventually cleaning won't do it. Yeah, it's just eventually it's just going to build up so much. But yeah, Rooster, my suggestion will be to try and get your controller fixed. Because what I was hearing was that they're not even asking questions. You basically say that your Joy-Con is drifting, and they fix it or replace it. Also, people try getting the workarounds for the TV. Yeah. The system just does not output a TV signal for the Switch Lite. It just doesn't work because there are dockless attachments for the Switch. There are TV attachments for your regular Switch that are basically just a wire. They do exist, but it doesn't work on the Switch Lite because the Switch Lite does not output a TV signal. But I modified my Switch. I'll just buy a new set of Joy-Cons. Thoughts on Spider-Man? Okay, so they announced that there's going to be a new Spider-Man movie. It's nice that they're working together. I know Trav guy that comes in here. He thinks that it was a scam. He thinks that it was all staged to pressure. It was staged to pressure Sony into caving into whatever Marvel wanted. I don't know the specifics of the new deal. I know that there's a third movie and that's it. I didn't see the numbers. I didn't see the financials, the financial split, which was a big deal when they split before. But that's what I want to see. I want to see what the financial split is going to be for the movie, because that was a big problem before, was that they had a split set up, excuse me, and both of them were not happy with that deal. Wait, Disney and Sony. Yeah, apparently they sorted things out for one more movie. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I want to see more. I only saw that news earlier today, so I want to see more on what kind of deal they worked out. And I know the only thing I do know that it is only one movie. MC was really going to have a third Spider-Man movie. The new deal didn't give a third movie. Oh, okay. Yeah, but well, wait, because Spider-Man still belongs to Sony. I guess they worked out a deal for 3 movies, but they were going to back out of that deal. The thing is, Mendes, with contracts like that, a lot of the times they offer buyouts of some kind. So, for instance, if the MCU and Sony had a deal to make 3 movies, there might have been something in the contract that said if Sony decides that they don't want to make a third movie, they owe Disney some amount of money, and then they're allowed to back out of that deal. A lot of deals like that come with those things, or 2 movies with an option for a third one. That seems to be kind of common, where you are required to do a certain number, and then there is the possibility of doing an extension of that, all within the bounds of the same contract. The problem is just I don't know what the deal was with that. I didn't look that far into it. It's called sublicense. The third movie was going to be forced as long as Far From Home made a certain amount of money. Sony removed Spidey from the MCU, then they worked it out. Yeah, it's very interesting. So they're saying 75, Shadow's saying 75-25, Disney with the 25. That's not bad. That's not a bad deal. Marvel's gonna make a ton off of the merchandising, so that's actually not too bad. I'd be, like I said, I wanna read more on it. I wanna read more on what the split is. And Cyan Fox, yes, I use the Elgato HD60. It is the old one. It is much older than the current ones that are out now. It still works, but it is the last one that had the component adapter. My Elgatos nowadays all have an HDMI in and an HDMI out. Mine has the HDMI out, but it has HDMI in and component in, a little adapter that you can put component or composite or S-Video into it. So that's the one that I have. My only problem is that the 1080p that it puts out, I think is only 30 frames per second. So I would like to get a newer one, and I don't have live view. Whenever I stream, I have to delay everything a second and a half because my image on the capture card from what I'm doing on the monitor is about a second and a half off. The newer cards have what's called live view, where it's instantaneous, and that's really the feature that I'm after the most. As fair as Disney makes all the money outside the movies, but again, in a world where they get billions no matter what. Yeah, but but AGM, we talked before about how it's not fair to tell Disney that they're supposed to take a significantly shorter part of the deal because they're making money somewhere else. That's nobody's business. That is irrelevant. Just because Disney has all this other stuff, that shouldn't be relevant to a deal that they make with Sony to make a movie. You know, if we were going to talk about how what Sony makes versus what Disney makes, Disney probably shouldn't take any money at all. You know what I mean? It's not, but that's not fair to tell them that they're supposed to take 1%. Just because they already make all of this money somewhere else. That being said, 75-25, I like that split. That if that's the actual numbers, that's an okay split. Yes, because Marvel Disney makes a bunch of money, but inside that arrangement, they're going to make merchandising money. So as far as the profits from the movie being split 75-25, I think that's okay. I would like to see if those are the actual numbers. Disney didn't put any money into Spider-Man, but they wanted all the profits. Disney, I thought, paid for most of Spider-Man being made. That was the thing. Disney they paid the bulk of the money of the production costs for the Spider-Man movies. The problem with the third one was that they wanted to split the production costs with Sony. Sony did fund the Spider-Man movies. Okay, so Sony did fund the Spider-Man movies. That's right. Sony funded them, but Marvel made them. It was the Marvel Studios that made them. I think. I don't know. It's all more money than I'll ever see in my life. Well, they have more money, but I have all of you, and all of you are way more than any amount of money that Disney and Marvel and Sony have put together. You're all the best. I don't think I have a fun gift to celebrate all of you. So
$1? I've never seen $1. Nobody's got $1. Let us see the dollar.
There you go. I don't know what else we got. I don't know what else we got. You say I'm not worth anything? No. I love every one of you, and I very much appreciate you, and you know that. But do we have any other topics? Is there anything else, or should we just wrap it up here? Thoughts on Bob Iger? Iger, right? Essentially admitting he kind of screwed over George Lucas over the Star Wars deal. I'm not familiar with that. I would like to read up on that. I did not see anything about that. I've been kind of out of it as far as that stuff goes. Star Wars news, I just after the disaster, not disaster, but after the disappointment that was Episode 8, I have not really followed modern Star Wars news. I'll see the new movie when I see it. You know what I mean? Like, I just haven't really followed it. We'll see what happens. I'm not super duper confident. Can we discuss how Disney brainwashes people? Yes, they do it through delightful movies with songs, and that's all we remember. I'll allow that. The Colonel Sanders game. I have not played the Colonel Sanders game, and I don't know, man. As it is a hot topic again with Link's Awakening. Your thoughts on the price of a remake of a Game Boy Color game being $60? 60 seems a bit high. I paid 50 for it, and that's much better. 50 is probably where the high point should have been on that game. Yes, a lot of production went into Link's Awakening. I do think 60 might have been a bit much. What I am interested in seeing, and I know this is going to seem weird, if they offer any sort of DLC missions or anything like that, DLC dungeons or something, some sort of additional content to Link's Awakening. How about a Link's Awakening mode where we get to play as Marin? How about a Link's Awakening mode where we get to play as Terran, doing all of his weird things? Be kind of cool. Be kind of cool. These games appeal to the male fantasy. Remy, that's what I think of when I think of Animal Crossing. Paying off my mortgage in a timely fashion by fishing and catching bugs definitely appeals to the male fantasy. And the female fantasy and every other fantasy that could be had. I wish they put more focus on the Dungeon Maker. Yeah, the Dungeon Maker mode I feel like should be a little more interesting. I would like to see them add in old cut content. Lilac, I wouldn't mind seeing them release the actual original game. How about a dungeon where when you finish the dungeon, you get a copy of the original Link's Awakening to play on your Switch? What's wrong, Uncle? You don't want some finger licking loving from the Colonel? I need to lick those fingers. The human fantasy. Paying off your mortgage in a timely fashion by fishing and catching bugs. That's the human fantasy. There you go. Yeah, and that's I haven't even played the Dungeon Master, the Dungeon Creator mode. I've beaten the game and I'm playing through it again on stream, and I haven't tried the Dungeon Maker mode, which is a shame because it seemed like a really cool feature. 2D Breath of the Wild, yeah, definitely. Can't really do much with Dungeon Maker for the end of the game, and you need to do all the Dampy dungeons to get all the heart containers. Oh, so that's all right. So there might be something for me to do in there. If they are there pre-made dungeons that I can explore and get items for? Because I want to do a 100% run of the game. That's what we're doing on stream. So maybe that'll work. You can do that for 60. Zelda Dungeon. Oh my god, yeah. If Zelda Dungeon Maker would sell, I think that would be great as a 100% completion bonus or reward for no death runs. Better than the extra 10-second animation. I still want to see it. I want to see it. We're gonna do a no death run. We're definitely gonna do a no death run. But that is gonna do it for today. Thank you, everybody. Let me get a little mushy here. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in and for hanging out. Not just for hanging out today, but for being patient while I tried to sort out my IRL issues that are happening. I apologize again for not having a show last week or not having any streams last week. But it very much means the world to me that everybody's been very supportive, even though they don't know what's going on. But that you're still here, you're hanging out. That one of the things I always worry when we start the stream, especially after I've taken a day or two off, is that no one's gonna show up. Not like you're sitting at home like, I'm not gonna watch your stream. He didn't stream before. You're not gonna get my attention. Like, I don't think it's like that. I just assume everybody's they found another stream to watch. They found other things to do. Like, when you're not here for the stream, I assume that you're out in the world exploring life and all of its beauties. But come back. But that being said, thank you everybody. I always forget to do the ending of the show stuff. If you're watching this right now live and you have not done so already, please go ahead and click follow. And also check the links down below. Follow me over on Twitter, which is where I update stream times and I post a bunch of funny stuff. And follow me on YouTube, where I upload this show every week, and I also do some game uploads. I uploaded a 1v1 of Tetris 99 Invictus mode that I did the other day, and I will be uploading my Link's Awakening remake playthroughs. One video is already up there. I just haven't made it live yet, but they will be going up hopefully as I'm finishing up those streams. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for clicking. Go ahead and also click follow, or whatever the heck it's called on YouTube. I think it's subscribe on YouTube. And also check the links down below. Follow me over on Twitter, where we do this show live Fridays 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We also stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Those times we're working out, because they may be going from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7. We'll find out. But if you follow me over on Twitter, that's where I'll update you on what is going on with the streams. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. Play some fantastic games. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Enjoy the weather, because I think it's supposed to be nice everywhere, with the exception of a few places where for some reason it's still 90 degrees. But have a good one, and I will see you all next time.